because we want to get you all out of here on time. So I'd like to say, welcome everybody to the President's Roll COT. I really want to thank you for spending some of this precious weather in front of your computer. But especially, I want to thank you for stepping up and taking a role as an officer in your club, or maybe you're here because you want to learn about it. Toastmasters wouldn't exist without people like you. So thank you. Let me share my screen here. Okay. So let's do some quick housekeeping. One, as usual, you're being recorded. Keep an eye in the chat. At certain times, there will be relevant links that will be posted into chat. As you know, please mute yourself. I'm assuming that by now everybody knows how to toggle between speaker and gallery view, so we are not going to be spotlighting anybody. Please rename yourself. If your name says something like Fluffy's iPad, please rename yourself so that you have a real name. And last but not least, we have enabled closed captioning. So if you'd like to turn that on for yourself, down near the bottom, there should be something that you can toggle the closed captioning off and on. Our agenda is pretty straightforward here. There should be a link in the chat if you want the fancy version, but it's pretty basic today. So let us move on to our presentation. Michael has been a Toastmaster for over 28 years. During that time, he's been a member of several clubs and has even been a club mentor for one. He has had every officer role there is. He's been involved in district leadership as an area director and as a division director. And basically, he has seen and done it all. We are in great hands here. Please help me welcome Michael Scheele, DTM, for his presentation on the President's Roll.
Thank you, and good afternoon. I cannot say that because it literally is afternoon. Welcome, and to all club presidents, congratulations. You've been elected president of your club. This is a great opportunity to learn and to support your clubs, to fulfill the mission of the club and to meet the goals of your members. That's what it's all about. So let's get started. The three main categories that we're going to cover today are going to include the president's role, the president's responsibilities, and some resources for you to get help in this perhaps daunting task. By the time we're done, we're going to be able to identify your role as club president, to fulfill your responsibilities, have a good, solid idea on how to do that, and also have some ideas of where to find resources to help you in this endeavor. First, the president's role. What is the essence of the president's role? Two main things. One, you set the tone for your club, and two, provide the supportive leadership necessary to be able to have the club function at its best and to meet the goals of your members and your club as a whole. Next, what are some responsibilities? I'm going to throw it out to people, and I'll scroll through and see who has their hand up raised. Okay, what are the responsibilities of the club president? Some ideas from folks? Anyone? Okay, let's go with Bianca. Bianca, go mute yourself.
Hi there. One of the key roles is to set the tone of the club. So have a positive attitude, make it super welcoming, and motivate people to join and stay.
Okay, excellent. Okay, next, anyone else? We'll get one more response. Okay, let's see here. Okay, I see another one. David, go.
Yes. So I told everybody that basically I am their vice president and they're all the president. I'm trying to encourage them to come out of their shells, speak up about what they want so that I can guide their vision. I think that's very important.
Okay, very good. Both excellent answers. And for the way I sort of look at it from my experience are, of course, you're on paper, you're the CEO of the club. You want to make sure that what needs to be done gets done. Key thing is you don't have to do it yourself in every respect, but you just want to make sure that whatever needs to be done gets done. And also, I think one of the less appreciated aspect of being club president is you are also the chief cheerleader for the club and its members and its officers. You're to encourage people and to recognize achievements that have taken place. Because if there's one thing people are motivated by, is recognition. Most people don't get too much recognition in their everyday life. So Toastmasters can be the place where they can get their fix of recognition. Those are sort of the key aspects that I look at. And you're also a coach for the club officers and also for the members. And it's just a great opportunity to furnish those skills as you advance in the club and outside of Toastmasters as a whole. Of course, we have the central unifying theme of being club president. It's to fulfill the mission of the club. And I'm going to read the mission of the club according to Toastmasters International. We provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Everything you do as club president is to support that mission of the club. So I'm going to get to an exercise that's going to help us focus on that. Okay. Now the Zoom host, Kevin, is going to divide you up into to groups of 4 or so. And we're going to brainstorm for 10 minutes. And we're going to answer this question. How does the president support achieving the mission of the club? And you'll report back. Make sure you have one person per group to report back and summarize the findings of your group so everyone can share in that. Okay, Zoom host Kevin, can we get people into the breakout rooms? So, Madam Timer, we have people go to the various break rooms and make sure that the timing is done so we'll know when to come back and share the findings with everyone. Welcome back. Let's take an opportunity to share some of what we brainstormed about. Let's hear from Group 5. We'll start in reverse order. Group 5.
I'm not sure what group number we were. Do we know? How did we know?
Okay, Kevin, will assist here.
Bianca, you were in group 4.
Oh, okay. Got it. So our group had a list of, maybe there are a lot, but 10 things. I'm going to narrow down to the top 3 most important things of what we talked about the most. So we talked about making sure that we're encouraging all members to invite guests and making sure that we are motivating our officers to recruit, because that's what's keeping our club alive and healthy. We also talked about keeping officers accountable. So sometimes we have officers who get really busy, and how do we motivate them, hold them accountable, have those conversations with them, get other people to volunteer and step in, because for example, a VP of PR responsibilities can be a lot. And so not putting too much pressure on them, but saying, hey, it's okay to get more help, and just making sure that those things get done. And then last but not least, we talked about communication as being super critical. So communication across the officers, communication across your club. And we talked about like tools like Slack or WhatsApp and all of these great things that we can make sure that we are actively participating in those things and making sure that we've got clear guidelines about, you know, how people can communicate and build those relationships.
Okay, great, thanks. Going back to group 5, could be Christian, Manoj, Maria, Priya. Someone from that group?
Yes. Thank you so much, Michael, for
Okay.
first of all creating the breakout rooms. What we had spoken about was a few different things. First is just encouraging a lot of like the new members to give out their first speech, and reducing their fear of public speaking. That all of us have been going through those hurdles, and it is possible to get through that, right? So that was number one. Second thing was like I think many people in the group felt that they are struggling with participation, where they do not have enough speeches that are being given upfront. People end up either doing impromptu speeches, or there's a lot more like table topics. So what we were speaking about was like, we needed a good mechanism to drive participation. And towards that, we brought up the distinguished club membership program as well as the pathways program, and we're hoping to drive more participation through that. Perhaps give out like a contest between participants as well, and see who can get through the most number of speeches. That kind of a initiative, right?
Excellent.
One more thing was like to ask specifically for feedback from members and the officers about what is it that they want, and how is it that Toastmasters is actually helping them out, and what is it that we could do better, right? So those were the three main aspects that came up. So
Great. Thank you, Priya. Well, for breakout room 3, I guess David, Eric, Tyler, Veronica. Who's going to speak for the group?
I did take a lot of notes, but Veronica was more eloquent than me. Would you mind?
Sure, I can do that.
They were all more eloquent than me, really. But
Our group talked a lot about just kind of taking the group in the direction that the group wants to go, and providing that support and encouragement, finding ways to change up the meeting. Somebody gave an example of having the meeting from start to finish completely in reverse of how the format was done. Other things were ways to change up table topics, whether it's adding in some really random images, or having an around the world thing where you've got locations curated from around the world and say, you have been dropped in this location. How'd you get there? What are you doing? And also just asking our members what it is that they want out of the club, being familiar with Toastmasters International and whatever website your club uses to sign up for speeches and other roles, and to help guide new people into those spaces so that they learn more about pathways. We've had a few people who have learned about pathways, and getting them familiarized with it, choosing the one that works best for them, and then as president, supporting them through that along with the vice presidents of education.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. Next, let's hear from room 2. Alexander, Megan, Maureen, and Bonnie? Someone? Room that had Alexander, Megan, Maureen, and is it Bonnie? Someone?
Hi, actually Matthew is gonna present, but if
Okay.
Matthew is not, I can do that. So as a club president, we have to lead by example. And then next is to ensure the club officers know their roles and train. Next is to attend as much as possible to encourage the team members to take roles, promote the clubs, assign mentors for new members, reach out to members who are missing the meetings, and assign mentors to new members. Oh yeah, I did that already. And then also goal setting for the club.
Very good. Next, let's hear from room number 1. Doug, James, Marty, Monica, and Rose. One,
Yes, thank you, Michael. We had a great discussion. There were a lot of different topics discussed, so I'll kind of briefly go over what, each person kind of contributed. Um, I for what something I've done for my club is I'm working on creating a curiosity train because curiosity is what inspires us. I mean, we all got curious about Toastmasters for some reason, right? And it's learning to how to build that continue to build that curiosity. And I've even created a PowerPoint to help my guests, my officers, just kind of like become more curious and ask more curious questions. That way they can feel really involved and they get that spark of excitement. They get to feed that spark of excitement that they had at the beginning. And then another member of my group said part of being a president and supporting the role as president for our club is to be a cheerleader, and that was said by Rose. So thank you, Rose, very much. And just to be supportive of our members, as well as leading by example, trying something new. Douglas mentioned he was enabler and trying to help his officers, in any way he can, and just making sure that, the goals are met. And then James, who I've actually met in both today's meeting and yesterday's meeting, that has accountability with his officers and his team, which I think is great because it's important to hold ourselves accountable. He also leads by example. If you're going to ask someone to do something, make sure you feel comfortable willing to do it yourself, because there's always going to be that, a little bit of fear sometimes, and, holding each other accountable and leading by example can definitely do that. And that is my report for the group. Thank you.
Thank
Back
you.
to you, Michael.
okay. That's excellent ideas from all of the various groups. And we were talking about the specifics, and I'm hoping that everyone gets some idea, some nugget, a kernel of something they can take back to their club and implement in some form. Overall, the top level things that we're supposed to learn are, of course, as president, you preside over the meetings and earn distinguished club recognition for your club, because if you're doing the right things, the points will come. And everything the president does supports the mission of the club. You want to help the members achieve their goals, both in leadership and, of course, speaking. And I think that's the president's role is vital to that happening. And the point that Monica had made about setting an example, yes, if you want to preach people to use pathways, make sure that you are setting the example and going through pathways yourself, even if you don't want to. You got to do it. Okay, let's move on to the next session, which would be the responsibilities of the club president. I'm going to share my screen here. Okay. And the three organizing categories for the president's responsibilities are going to be the club meeting, outside the club meeting, and of course, the executive committee. We're going to be going through quickly the various points, and there'll be resources where you can get the list if you specifically want to have all the details. Okay, the club meeting. Again, there's divisions there. There's club before the club meeting, upon arrival at the club meeting, of course, during the club meeting. Before the club meeting, oftentimes is one of the more important aspects, because that makes sure that you can concisely and efficiently take care of some things that aren't specifically part of the everyday meeting that you're going to have. Ask your VP of education about special recognition for long-term members. Say that someone hit their 10-year mark as a Toastmaster or their 15-year mark. Recognize that. Look for excuses to recognize your members. Or membership inductions. Welcome the new members into the club in some form. and plan the business portion of your meeting. Sometimes it could just solely be inducting new members. Sometimes it would be deciding something of importance to the whole club, like changing venue locations or making the decision to return to physically meeting. All of those really want input from the entire club, and make sure that's in the plans for the meeting if you're going to have that as part of a regular meeting. Of course, review parliamentary procedure. You don't have to be the world's greatest expert on Robert's rules, but they can help efficiently and cordially handle meeting flow. So, something to look into. And of course, once you get there to the club meetings, make sure that people are encouraged to get there as early as they can, if only because that way the Toastmaster doesn't panic and worry about, oh, who's going to fulfill all these roles? But again, make sure that you're in communication with the VPE and the Toastmaster for that week's meeting or month's meeting, and make sure that you know, oh, these roles need to be filled. Oh, we got volunteers for them, or we have to switch things around because somebody had something come up at the last minute. Whatever the case may be, you want to make sure that's taken care of before the meeting starts. Of course, during club meetings, call the meeting to order, introduce guests. And this is one role, as I think you are cheerleader, but you're also the salesperson, because you're the person that the guests are going to focus upon when they're seeing a meeting for the first time. So make sure that you step up your game. And that's one thing I learned when I was a club president the first time. I had to force myself to get into salesperson mode, but it feels a little dodgy and a little fake at first, but you'll get used to it. And it's a great way to improve your skills that way, because you're there to help get people to understand the benefits of Toastmasters so they can join and contribute to the richness of your club. Explain the meeting's events, could be more experienced members helping out in that respect. You conduct the business portion of the meeting, and just as importantly, towards the end, provide information for the next meeting. So people will look forward to the next meeting. Make any announcements, could be something for the club. Like for instance, we recently had a 60th anniversary meeting for my home club, and that was something to promote. But also club officer training is something to promote, or things that are happening within the district, like say the annual conference that took place back in May and will take place next May. These are things to tell the members about so they can put it on their calendar, but also to help them understand that they can benefit from these things that happen. And of course, adjourn the meeting. And outside the club meeting, the part that the club officers get to see, but most of the members don't get to see the sausage being made. Some of it is attend and vote at council meetings, could be the area council, could be the district council. And to attend and vote at the annual business meeting, not necessarily the most exciting thing ever, but sometimes it can be vital because they do vote for the top trio, so they can help the district achieve its goals. To appoint an audit committee as sort of a backstop to the treasurer, make sure that procedures are being followed according to the rules of Toastmasters International, and everything is reconciled to the satisfaction of the club. And to appoint the nominating committee, someone had mentioned earlier, you want to look for your replacements. This is vital for all club officers, but the president gets to sort of head up this particular task by appointing the nominating committee. Could be the immediate past president, could be other people in the club, whatever it takes. Some other miscellaneous administrative things. Receive official correspondence from TI. If you get something from TI, it's probably going to affect everyone in the club. So make sure to pass on the important details if you get something. That schedule and share executive committee meetings. Make sure that you regularly meet with your club officers to make sure that the business of the club gets done and there are no hiccups. And also, this is an opportunity to help the other club officers who are newer get integrated in and to help figure out their place in the club and its operation. This is a great opportunity to be that coach. Develop and improve club leadership, whether that be the existing officers or looking for new ones for the future. And of course, the obvious, oversee club administration. Again, I reiterate, you don't have to do everything yourself. You just want to make sure that everything that needs to happen happens. That's the essence of being the club CEO. Advance the club's and member achievements, whether it's a DCP or whether it's progress through pathways. We want to promote that, and we want people to achieve their goals, whether as individually or as the group, as the club, and to interact effectively with other portions of Toastmasters International, whether the area, the division, or the district level. You are the point of contact for the club during that time period. And the key thing, being the club executive committee, you oversee it and you ensure that that the club executive committee completes its duties. And basic things: create the club budget, create the club success plan, strategize for success in the Distinguished Club Program, and to create and oversee other club committees as necessary. Could be ad hoc committees for planning a special event for your group, like recognizing a long-term member or celebrating a major milestone for the club, or someone getting a Distinguished Toastmaster award. Whatever it takes, look for an excuse to have them. Recognition, you will never manage to overdo it, at least not in my experience. And we're getting closer to the next breakout session, and we want to think about how to fulfill these various responsibilities. It comes down to 4 questions: how, when, who, and what. And before we get to the more specific aspects of those questions, I'd like to have people raise their hands for, and we want to have 5 key main responsibilities of the club president. And we're going to assign 1 responsibility to each of the breakout rooms. Okay, let's have people throw out ideas. Let's see here, raise your hand using the participants in the response. That would be great. Okay. Who is raising their hand? I'm sorry, I'm not seeing it. Someone raising their hand.
I don't believe anyone is. Perhaps, Michael, you could just go ahead and tell us.
Okay. Basically, let's just go with some of the basics in terms of the responsibility. Let's say the club budget and the club success plan as one of the main responsibilities. Okay, and we'll assign that to room 1. So people, when you go to the breakout room, make a note of which room you're in. So it'd be 1 will be club budget and club success plan. Okay, and then others would be duties before the meeting. Okay, and during the meeting, what are those responsibilities? And let's see, next would be outside of the club, what sort of things should the president be doing in terms of fulfilling their responsibilities and working out with other parts of Toastmasters, whether it be area, division, or district. Okay, that'll be 5 rooms. Kevin, do we have enough for 5 rooms, or do we need a 6th?
Nope, 5 fits perfectly.
Okay, and then we're going to. Okay, so again, it comes down to how will you fulfill this responsibility as president? When will each action be completed? And who is available to help you? And what materials and resources can you find? So let's break into breakout rooms, and you'll have 10 minutes to do that. Again, we're going to have somebody from each room sort of reporting back and summarizing your discussion. Okay. Do that, and you'll be warned when it's time to come back. So, Joy.
Michael, could you stop sharing, please?
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Coming
later on, I should cut the responsibility slides. That just takes on way too much.
Hey, Michael, get ready, especially if you're going to screen share again. You could start the
Yeah.
sharing now.
Okay.
Please continue, Michael.
Okay, very good. I do apologize. We had to cut things short and we won't really have time to share them. I do apologize for that, but hopefully the exercise helped sort of stimulate the juices to think about those things. Summary, the club president, you have responsibilities before the club meeting, inside it, and interface with outside of your club to the wider district. And of course, club executive meeting that no one sees except for the club officers. So best way to look at it is you have a lot of operational things to do that aren't always visible to the club, but they're vital to the proper functioning of your club. Definitely, this brings us to our next section, and that's simply, where do you go for help? It could be somebody for, you have club officer training here. That's a good starting point. There's material that we'll put a link in the chat for a little bit later to read up on and to refer to. You can meet with some of the longer term members, the previous officers in some cases, and maybe people who've been there a while and have served in the club officers. But what if you don't have that? You're a new club and you don't have that deep bench of experience to go to. My suggestion would be talk to your area director. They can definitely be a help, or longer term members in Toastmasters that you come in contact with. They can be available for help. Definitely do not waste those folks as resources simply because I've always thought as the most important thing to do is you don't have to know everything. Nobody knows everything. Not me, not you, no one. And everyone's in the same boat in that respect. But the key thing is to develop the ability to know everything that you don't know and understand that and know who knows that. If you can do that, you will succeed greatly as club president or in other endeavors. Just know who knows what you don't. Great principle. But overall, these are the resources. Again, Kevin, if we could have a pointer to the document that has the list of links with the updated links, because the ones that are shown on this slide, some of them work, but some of them are a little out of date. So definitely that's worth doing. And again, I want to thank everyone who participated in this, and hopefully this got you started. But again, if I'll put in the chat my email address if you have questions, or if you see something that you'd like but wasn't in the list of links to include. So again, thank you, and I encourage you to be that CEO, be that coach, be that head cheerleader for your organization, because not only will you benefit, but everyone in your club, and that's what it's all about. Madam Organizer.
You, Michael, that was very interesting. I know that I learned some things that I heard that I'm going to be thinking about. If you could stop your screen share, please. Excellent. Okay, at this point, we are going to hear some brief comments from somebody from the trio, whoever's speaking for the trio. Please take it away.
Oh, thank you, Karen. This is Linda Vorsman, Program Quality Director. And my portion of the announcements is to let you know that when all 7 of your officers are trained from your club, and that could just be all 7 positions, because maybe someone has 2 offices, that you will receive $70 in District 2 reimbursement for expenses. We upped that this year because prices of everything are going up. So off to you, Tommy Price, Club Growth Director.
Thank you, Linda. Good afternoon, Toastmasters and presidents especially. I'm excited to be your club growth director this year. I'm looking for a little assistance. We are looking for some club coaches for clubs that have at least 3 members or not more than 12. And we need some experienced Toastmasters for that. Marty Varela is part of my team, and she is the club coach chair who's attending today. We are also looking for some new club mentors and new club sponsors. And again, we have some experienced Toastmasters. All of these can help you build toward completion of your DTM and some advanced things in pathways. And I'll close with this. Club presidents, there's 2 things that I'm going to ask you to consider doing as you start this club year. One is consider a Moments of Truth survey. I won't go into the details of it. You can read about it on Toastmasters International. They have a paper version. District 2 has a much simpler digital version that can be anonymous, and we will provide the Moments of Truth provider for your club. Following up the Moments of Truth, a great tool to use is your Club Success Program, which is just a series of questions for you and your team to build the plan that you want to follow for your club's year. These are 2 incredibly important accomplishments for clubs and club growth. I know we're recovering from a lot. I want to leave you this one final thought. I and the trio believe that every club can grow, and that includes your club, regardless of how many members you have or how small you think you are. You can grow. Back to you, Karen.
Sorry, technical difficulty. Thank you. Thank you, both of you from the trio. Can you all see? Oh, sorry. There we go. If everybody could take a minute to put in the chat something that you will take away from this session. I know we love to hear the feedback. Michael would like to hear the feedback. And while you're doing that, have you ever wondered how someone becomes an area director or division director or part of the trio? It's networking. And before we all moved to online, networking was something that was pretty easy to do. But now, not so much. So we need to adapt. And in that spirit, I'm going to launch a Zoom poll. And this is someplace where you can indicate your interests. And it's not an obligation. It's more like picture yourself in a room. You're walking across the room and you're saying, hi, my name is Karen. Let's talk. So let me go ahead and launch that. You know what? I'm going to stop sharing. Maybe that'll make it easier. You would not believe that I had actually practiced this. Oh, looks like somebody just beat me to it. Thank you, Kevin. I think we need to leave this open a little longer than 15 seconds. So does everybody see the poll? It might be hiding behind another window. But please go ahead. And again, this is what it is if you do this, somebody will contact you and we're just going to talk. It's as if in before times, you'd be at a meeting, you'd be helping out at a training, you'd get to talking and one thing would lead to another and you might be indicating interest in helping at some other point, and that's how it would happen. With the Zoom times, we can't really do this. So thinking of ways to adapt, this is one way. If you just indicate, yeah, I'm definitely interested in at least talking, somebody will get back to you. And again, we consider it the new Zoomy version of networking. So please, and feel free to say no, thanks, not interested at all. That's just fine. Okay, I think we'll close this down in about 30 seconds. And then once that is closed, there is a link to the survey. Please, everybody take the survey. The link to the survey will be in the chat. We'd like to know what you thought about the session. And yep, there it is. Thank you, Kevin. You know what? Let's go ahead and close down the poll. Again, I would like to thank everybody for coming. Thank you so much, Michael, for the presentation, to our team, Kevin and Amanda, for helping, for the trio. Thank you for showing up. And if everybody could take the survey, and then I'd just like to say, have a great afternoon, have a great weekend. Thank you all so much.